Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to our very first Powerbotch Top 10! Today we will be counting down the top 10 weirdest wrestling match types. How about we start with number 10, John?
Number 10. Did you want me to give mine for number 10? I can give you mine for number 10. 1 second, I have so many fucking documents.
It's a shark cage match.
It's a shark cage match, which I don't know if any of you are aware of, but like the shark cage match.
Watching our first top 10 list.
Yeah, the shark cage match. If you are not sure what the shark cage match was, it was quite a popular one back in the AWA days and the NWA days, and it was a terribly crafted match where the two individuals would be in the actual cage. Now, modern day shark cages have the shark cage above the ring to stop someone from being involved, and usually there's some chicanery where a key is dropped or some sort of item is dropped from the cage that influence the match. No. Back in the 80s and the 70s, this was a match where the two individuals were in a cage about 2 feet wide, 2 to 3 feet wide, squared, in the center of a ring, and they would be stuck inside this cage at the same time, just lamping each other. And the idea behind it was that the person got out of the cage and then closed the cage on the other person would be deemed the winner. It was a weird match that, honestly, when you go back and watch it, is a boring travesty because there's only so much two lads, especially if they have got a fair amount of athletic girth on them, can do in a 3 by 3 square foot cage.
Yeah.
Right
now on YouTube, you can find the shark cage match between Chief J Strongbow and Bulldog Don Kent, and the crowd is hot for this match. So you see what happens when you get the Young Bucks? They killed the business. You could excite people with a freaking shark cage match.
I watched that match, and if I suspend my disbelief, it was an exciting match, all right. The part where he almost punched him because he's almost able to get his cock his arm back to hit him. Oh, that was something else. The part where he actually got his arm out of the cage to get a solid punch in. Oh, hot stuff right there. No, it was terrible. It was boring. It was meh.
Number 9, the Hogpen match. If you only know WWE from recent times, you might remember the match between Santino Marella, or Santina Marella as he was in this match, against Vicky Guerrero. That was the rubber match of the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royale that Santino Marella won. We will get into this whenever. But the one I want to talk about is the Hogpen match between one Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Henry Godwinn. And I got a little book featuring Triple H here, and I want to read you a quote from this. I knew rolling around in pig S-word would one day take me to the top.
Wow, did he legit write that in his book?
Yeah, it's the caption underneath the picture of him rolling in pig S-word.
Who would have thought that? I don't know if Triple H being sarcastic or not in that there. I don't know the way he is wrote. I assume it's meant to be self-autobiographical, right? Or is this meant to be okay? So I don't know the cadence in which he delivered that line compared to the rest of the stuff he talks about in that book. But to me, that smacks of sarcasm.
I think he, in this chapter, he talks himself up of being a company man and just doing whatever to prove he's willing to do what they tell him to do. So,
and this comes off the back. You were telling me this comes off the back of a very specific event.
Yeah, after the curtain call, Triple H was placed in the doghouse by the WWE. He was supposed to win King of the Ring, which was the year that Austin won it.
Yes, he was then. Yeah. He was then surrogate supplanted into that match, into that booking.
Yeah. But Triple H got to roll around in pig shite, and live pigs were driven around him by Henry Godwinn. You can watch it on YouTube.
Really? Is that on YouTube as well?
Just the ending bit.
Oh, okay. Because there was a very famous line after that, after the curtain call incident, where Vince McMahon did say you're going to have to eat plates and plates of shit and like it. So,
I don't mean the curtain call is on YouTube. I was talking about the ending of the...
I mean, like, the symbolism of that more so that he said that, and then next thing you know, he's in a hog pen match with a load of dung. There is a lively, weird, intricate symbolism in there, right?
You know how they say in WWE, you gotta grab the brass ring and eat shite.
I mean, it's probably covered in shite, let me tell you. Should we go
Number 8!
Number 8 indeed. We've got the Scaffold Match. And again, we're going back to NWA, WCW, AWA classics with the Scaffold Match. These were pretty much matches where your team or your individuals were placed on one side or the other of this scaffold construction with a very narrow bridge without any sort of supports on either end. And competitors had to compete one way or another to win. One of the most noted ones was Bobby Eaton and PNUs facing off against Terry Taylor and Steve Austin, and the format they done it in, which was honestly just the biggest load of crap, was almost a capture the flag format. You could tell that the guys were unsteady in their actual movements. They were worried about falling over and falling off and really hurting themselves. You can't do any moves up there. Again, like the Shark Cage match, it's heavily restricting in what you can do. It's not a lot of fun to watch. And what we'll see by a different entry in relation to the Scaffold Match, incredibly dangerous, because another noted Scaffold Match was the New Jack Vic Grimes match, where New Jack went out of his way as a part of retaliation for a previous spot botched, I think maybe a year previously, where he then threw Vic Grimes off the actual scaffold on purpose with the intent to kill him. It was
he has said as much. Yeah,
that's not me speculating. That is the words out of Mr. New Jack's mouth. And it was, if it wasn't for the ropes that caught Vic Grimes as he was falling, he probably would have been killed. And my God, what the hell, New Jack, you scurry beast.
And to add a little bit of continuity, a person some people know as Jim Cornette these days fell from the scaffold in, what was it, Starrcade 1986, I believe, Midnight Express versus Road Warriors. He fell really awkwardly from it, tore a bunch of ligaments. You hear him in a really high-pitched whining voice when he's carried out.
Yeah, he legitimately injured himself in that one. I think that was the first bump he took, and he took the biggest one. That was kind of like trial by fire on that one. What an awful set of circumstances. But it brings us to,
speaking of fire, number 7, the Anus Explosion Deathmatch, also called the Anal Bomb Deathmatch. Where else but in Japan, in FMW Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. A person known as H wrestled. Some sources call him Mr. Ganosuke. Some sources call him Fake Hayabusa. The objective of this match was to place a firecracker inside the anus of your opponent and light it on fire and make it explode. Match ended by, I believe, Fake Hayabusa handcuffing H in the turnbuckle, pulling down his pants. The crowd reaction is wonderful for this bit. Placing the firecracker in there, lighting it, and it explodes in his freaking anus.
Can we watch that match? Is that on YouTube?
The ending is.
Oh, I'm gonna source that one. I want to watch that match for its full. I need to see how this anus explodes. I need to see. It's like the whole thing. I need to see the meat go into the pie.
You see the best part, the anus explosion part. The rest of the match, I don't think it is on YouTube, but you can find the ending.
I need the struggle. I need the struggle of a high explosive going up a man's jacksie. I need the tension.
Yeah, but what about tension? I think number 6 can tell us something about tension.
Well, you want to have tension? Let me tell you about what I have lovingly labeled the Russo special. It's polls matches, and we're not talking about any old poll match. We're talking about the Vince Russo specific ones. Most notably, the Judy Bagwell on a pole match, which wasn't even Judy Bagwell on a damn pole, because you can't put a 250-pound woman on a pole. They had to literally bring her out on a actual massive what's it called again?
A forklift?
Forklift, thank you very much. A forklift, and I think the commentary even did say that, or maybe there was like some sort of cut promo about her being a fat ass and having to be put on the forklift. And let me tell you, only Vince Russo can put a person on a forklift and call it something on a pole match, but that was nothing. Like, Vince Russo was the master of these pole escapades. I mean, he also had a Viagra on a pole match, and I think that was due to what's the fat chick thriller? I can't remember the specific on that one, but Vince Russo, the man who will tell you brought you the Attitude Era. To some extent, yeah, he kind of did. We'll not take that away from him. Also brought you the demise of WCW, and this is how he done it, with stupid pole matches.
And he gave TNA and WWE a new match type to bore their audiences to death. Who doesn't remember such classic matches as Alexa Bliss versus Bailey in a candlestick on a pole match, which didn't bury the babyface Bailey back then. It didn't. It did.
What a.
Speaking of burying people, number 5, the Concrete Crypt match.
Take us for it. I'm intrigued by this one, actually. This
was shortly after The Undertaker recovered from his biker midlife crisis and returned to the Deadman gimmick. He was managed again by Paul Bearer. Paul Heyman, the other Paul. No, there are 3 Pauls because Triple H is also there. That's the different joke. Paul Heyman ordered the Dudley Boys to kidnap Paul Bearer in order to control The Undertaker. You remember in the good old times with the urn and stuff? Yeah, Paul Bearer could control The Undertaker. And by controlling Paul Bearer, Paul Heyman hope to gain power, I don't know. Anyway, at the Great American Bash 2004, The Undertaker fought the Dudley Boys in a handicap match. And the stipulation was if he didn't beat them fast enough, Paul Bearer was going to drown in cement. He was placed in this big plastic plexiglass box, and cement was pouring in steadily. Well, The Undertaker beat the Dudley Boys, stopped the cement from flowing in there, and it was like, this Paul Bearer guy, he's kind of a liability, kind of my Achilles heel, so let's kill a man on TV.
Yeah,
The Undertaker murdered him.
They straight up just murdered him, right? Like, it was just like, no, because that was his last appearance before Percy Pringle sadly passed away.
Not true.
Really?
I researched that. He occasionally managed The Undertaker between 2010 and 2012.
I thought that was his last appearance. Really? Okay.
They actually brought him back, yeah.
Weird, okay. I thought that was his last appearance. That's what's been cited to me. Well, fair enough. Do we go on to the next one?
I mean, we've just killed a man. Can we kill another man in number 4?
We can certainly kill a man in number 4. We have the Chamber of Horrors. This happened at Halloween Havoc 1991, and probably one of the most overbooked, stupid matches that Vince Russo was not involved in. We have El Gigante, who was who in WWE he was the guy in the weird sprayed suit, the faced Undertaker. Former
Gonzalez.
John Gonzalez, yes. So we have El Gigante, Sting, and the Steiner brothers facing off against Abdullah the Butcher, who's been known for way more brutal matches than this, if I'm totally honest. The actual debut of I'm going to call him a wrestling royalty, maybe a wrestling monarch of Scott Hall as the Diamond Stud, as well as Cactus Jack and Big Van Vader. It was pretty much a 4-on-4, an 8-man. I wouldn't even call it 8-man tag, but it was a 4-on-4 match. And this match was just straight up lunacy. They had people in coffins at ring sides with random weapons. There was like a kill switch on this, which looked like a kind of a cell. Then at one point there was an electric chair that was lowered down into the center of the ring. It was so strange. The idea behind it was that you're meant to put your opponent in the chair, flick the kill switch, and murder your opponent during Halloween Havoc. It was woefully bad. It was terrible. Cactus Jack at one point was actually at the switch too early, and the switch was already flipped because of just inertia in the cage. Like, he didn't even flip it himself. He had to flip it back up. He also was like constantly looking over to make sure he had the right person in the chair. But no, obviously the big overbooking part was that Abdullah was free into the chair at the last second. Cactus Jack pulls the switch, kills Abdullah the Butcher. Spoilers, he fucking doesn't. Abdullah, he gets back up and starts attacking Cactus Jack, and then the match just kind of ends where like Abdullah's just fighting off these random jobbers and white powder goes everywhere. It's a really stupid match.
Haven't you listened to Taz? The neck of Abdullah the Butcher is so strong that an electric chair doesn't affect him.
What are you talking about? What the hell? Seriously? Okay.
No, that was Brian Cage in the Paradigm Shift. But I felt
so
like
similar.
it would apply to an electric chair.
Oh, yes. Then we have number 3.
Yeah, how about we go from kayfabe killing people to getting really close to actually hurting people? The Hellfire death match. Apparently, the very popular landmine death matches they've been doing in Japan. Oh yeah, it's another Japanese match, of course. The landmine matches were getting a little bit expensive, and they thought to themselves, what if we wrap around the barbed wire ropes, because of course it's barbed wire ropes, a cloth soaked in a paraffin, and light those on fire. It's in the actual match. It's Sabu and the original Sheik versus Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto in 1992 FMW. They light those clothes on fire. You've seen an Inferno match in WWE, right?
Yeah, they're quite tame, actually. They're kind of boring.
Yeah. Picture that, but the entire ring is on fire now.
We talking like every rope, or just the top rope, or
there are no ropes, it's barbed wire, but the ring catches fire. You can't actually see inside the ring because it's just surrounded by fire. The building had to be evacuated because it was a fire danger. 4 people still in the ring, all of them get severe burns, like really severe burns. It's close to a miracle that nobody got hospitalized, like seriously hospitalized from this stuff.
Jesus.
It was a stupid idea. Like this should be in one of the first things when you set up a wrestling promotion is like never set your ring on fire.
Yeah, that should be common sense, but you know, Japan just likes to bring it to a little bit of an extreme. We are talking about the federations that put piranhas in a tank and had opponents force themselves into the tank and then put wood over it. So I guess, you know, nothing should shock us of Japan at this point.
But to call back to the Inferno match, this ring was an actual Inferno. It's brutal.
Can we catch it on YouTube?
Yeah, of course you can.
Fantastic. Going to watch that later.
How about number 2?
Number 2 is the stupidest, and I said this a few times, but this is truly the stupidest match that I could find. And this is the Golden Record contract ladder match between Free Count and the Young Dragons. And essentially, this is like any other like ladder match. Like, we were looking at these ladder matches and we're trying to think which ones we should put in there. And there's been some really stupid things that have been put on ladder matches. And there's been some great things. Like, we've had Money in the Bank, great thing. Really stupid thing, custody of a kid. You know, there's times that, you know, there's other sides of the spectrum. You can be really brilliant or really terrible. Well, you thought custody of a kid was pretty bloody stupid to put on a ladder match.
Sorry, I'm dying.
Just wait for this one. In WCW, and another piece of overbooked trash, we have Free Counts, a record contract, and Golden Record individually put up in a ladder match and up for grabs against the Young Dragons. It was essentially a handicap match, first of all. And this is stupid because at one point, Free Count grabs the gold record instead of the recording contract. And to me, that's stupid because, like, oh, do I go for the thing that was a sign that I made some music, or do I go for the thing that pays me to make music and release more music? But no, he went for the record. I don't even understand why the other thing was there. Was it meant to make Free Count look like an idiot? Because it worked. And, you know, it's one of these situations where you shouldn't have multiple items above the ring, especially if they're not of equal value. But WCW, when it came to its booking post 1999, clearly just could not follow the path well. Like they'd be on something and they would make a great build for something, and then they would get distracted and fall off a cliff constantly. They could never reach the destination, and this is just a sign of them taking gimmicks and taking, well, really stupid gimmicks in the first place, because Free Count wasn't very good at rapping. It was quite terrible to begin with. So I'm quite glad that his contract was put up for grabs.
Could you say he was the John Cena of hip hop?
He wasn't even that good. He was worse than that. And I would even give credit that John Cena could do some rappings. But no, this was terrible. This was god awful. Like, stop putting weird crap on ladders is basically the moral of the story, you know? Keep your legally binding obligations to the courtroom, not a feckin' ladder.
No, that's not how you do it in the wrestling world. You gotta fight for your right
to make terrible music, because that's what happened.
Yeah, of course. Before we get to number one, guys, if you want to see more top 10s like this, let us know in the comments, because I've got a whole cornucopia of other weird stipulations. We could possibly do a part 2 of this. So let's finally get into number one, the eye for an eye match. And let me explain this. All the other stipulations we've talked about were weird, were bizarre, were boring, were stupid. But this match breaks kayfabe, because the victory condition of this is something they cannot deliver. And yes, I'm talking about the WWE Eye for an Eye match, Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, where you win the match by removing an eye of your opponent. Let me repeat this. You win by removing your opponent's eye. That's something you can't deliver. So you have suspension of disbelief in wrestling anyway. But this kicks this stuff right out the door. Throws all logic out of the door. The Young Bucks killing the business. No, the eye for an eye match is killing the business. Jim Cornette, you listening? It's eye for an eye match. Killing the business.
And, like, don't get us wrong, there was technically an eye for an eye match in Dynamite months before. Difference was that the eyes were already extracted or blinded before that match between Santana and Jon Moxley. They didn't have to win by taking another eye out. Yeah. It was just a blood feud.
And then on top of that, you botch this stuff because it's an eye for an eye. Somebody takes my eye, I take their eye. This didn't happen. The guy who lost his eye again, and he was the good guy.
Yeah, like Mysterio was already blinded, and then they just done it, and we know why they done it. It was done for an easy out in case he didn't sign a contract.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, a face could never win this match. How can you be a baby face if you go like, oh yeah, I removed this guy's eye, it was easy.
Yeah, like it's an immediate heel turn. Like you've just there's no bigger heel turn than blinding a man forever.
Ripping out an eye out of their socket.
Yeah. Such a stupid concept. Like, I mean, it's not as overbooked or over elaborate compared to some of our previous entries, but it is stupid in a way that just breaks everything. And don't get me wrong, we talked about Abdullah the Butcher attempted to be murdered by a fake electric chair. We talked about actual attempted murder with New Jack, and we talk about fanatically stupidity of lighting a ring on fire, but it didn't go against the characters, and wrestling is a character-driven sport. It was stupid.
Yeah.
I just checked. Mr. Blue in the chat said WCW and Bam Bigelow versus Brad Knobs in a Fall Counts Anywhere, when the match ended in a count-out.
Oh yeah, I've come across that in my research.
I saw that as well. Again, WCW post 1999, a crock of shit. I always kind of want to make us watch like a year of WCW for the podcast at some point.
An entire year, okay. We need to talk about this offline.
52 weeks of it, of us just like reviewing WCW matches.
I mean, if AEW ever goes on break, we can talk about this maybe.
just thinking about it, like, we need to subject ourselves to this hell at some point, I think.
We should make that as a subscriber goal or something.
Yeah, definitely. We'll work that out, though. But yes, guys, that was our top 10 weirdest wrestling matches. Obviously, as Freed said, let us know if you want to see more of this stuff. We could go into more weird wrestling matches, but also we could broach different topics, and we have been talking about other topics that we think that would fit the format that we could do every so often if you are that way inclined or interested. I